The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. I think he missed the complete that. He's crazy.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
What does LionHeart mean? They line up 33 strong in his name. The drivers will compete on the most grueling road and oval tracks iRacing has to offer. And they all strive for one goal: to become champion. We'll witness which driver can push their car to the limit and find victory lane. You're watching the premier American Open Wheel Series on iRacing. The LionHeart IndyCar Series starts now.
Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of the LionHeart IndyCar Series, the premier American Open Wheel Championship in sim racing, narrowing down on the end of the Season 3 campaign. And with the final calendar date in 2015, we welcome you to America's National Park of Speed, none other than Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin's Road America, the site of round 16 of 18, the No Chance Racing Rocks 101. Hello again, everybody. We welcome you into our GSRC pre-race show coverage from Road America. Happy to have you along for the ride with us tonight on iRacing Live. Joe Pete getting us rocking. Our job is to keep you rolling. My name is Evan Pasoko, joined alongside by my partner in crime, Sean Ambrose. Our GSRC director on the night, Amjad Yaman, down pushing the buttons. Camera sets as well, courtesy of Dougie Beard this evening. And Sean, I think all of us as IndyCar fans, primarily kind of excited to see this track back on the 2016 Verizon IndyCar Series schedule. Not that far behind, secondarily most excited to see it on the Season 3 schedule for the LionHeart boys. Finally, we're here for round 16, back to the road course at Road America. Always a great place to come.
Yes, sir, it is, and it's a classic track. It really is. Tell you what, this setup that they're running here, wicked fast, lots of grip. I'm just going to see some crazy times tonight. Probably going to be a pretty quick race, Evan. I'll tell you what, we're going to take an opportunity to get around here real quick. Our own Amjad Yaman got behind the wheel of the Global Sim Racing Channel DW12 and is going to take us around for a lap here at Road America.
All right, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC DW12, so let's do a lap around Road America. Turn 1 comes after the longest stretch of the track, but still, it's going to require some guts to outbrake someone into this medium-speed 90-degree corner. The important thing is to avoid putting a wheel off into the grass on the outside. From there, it's a short blast downhill into 3, which has one of the most critical corner exits on the circuit. Failing to get a good run out of here is going to leave you vulnerable to attack down into 5. At worst, they might even be able to breeze by you before the braking zone at the end of the long straight. And turn 5 really is your best chance at a pass, with it being the tightest corner after a long time on the power. Just be careful not to overshoot it by focusing too much on your opponent and not enough on your brake marker. From there, we start climbing back uphill and crest as we slow the car for turn 6. Loss of grip will be a serious problem here for anyone who brakes too late. From there, it's a small lift through 7, and you're now into the hurry downs. If you're close behind your opponent, a surprise pass into 8 is possible, though difficult. Not much time to relax though, because the track switches back and now you're into the carousel. It may feel unending, but you gotta be patient to be ready for when the time comes to punch the gas. And with the downforce that the big wings of the DW12 creates, you won't be off the power until Canada Corner. The kink doesn't require a lift if you hit it right, but at 180 miles an hour, it's still terrifying to execute. By now, we're into the kettle bottoms, which will gently bend left twice, and then you've got to line the car up for Canada Corner. This is another good spot for a pass, and if it's the final lap, it's now or never to make it happen. From the lowest part of the track, we climb once again up through the fast left-hand kink of 13, then hold left and make sure we get the line right into the final turn. Once again, focusing on your exit out of here is far more important, with it dumping you onto the longest stretch of the track. It's a steep run uphill past the pit entry, and if you got everything right, you finished a lap around Road America.
Back at Road America, you saw a lap on board around this racetrack that totals in at 14 turns. It's a lot of physical action required for tonight's race. We got 25 laps on tap tonight. Good length for a road course race, not that long time-wise, but it's going to feel rather long for these drivers. Qualifying currently in the works at the moment. We're halfway through of our 10-minute closed qualifying session. 4 laps, though, available for these drivers to get a time down. 4 laps is a lot of different opportunities, but again, as we mentioned with 14 turns, Sean, there's just so many places that these guys can make a mistake at and or make up time. So this is a crucial part to this race, knowing that we're going green all the way through with no caution flags. You got to start good, not necessarily to finish good, but it'll make your night a lot easier.
Well, hey, Evan, I'll tell you what, lots going on here with the LionHeart Racing Series, and tonight, we've probably got a few new viewers here on iRacing Live. A little bit about the series, just real quick. Got to have an A-Class Oval, I-rating, 1800 plus required to register. That's the good news. Registration is open. Visit them at LionHeartRacingSeries.com. Registration is open right now for next season. All these races are fixed setups. They run ovals and road courses. No fast repairs. You got to run it all the way through. And man, tonight, if you get in any trouble, the tow back is lengthy and the repair time even longer. 75% fuel capacity tonight. Looking at a fuel window of probably about 8 to 9 laps. So strategy is going to be key tonight, Evan.
As it always is, and at the road course, you might see a little bit of added strategy in that. A couple of guys might try to mix up those calls, separate themselves from the rest of the field. We're at round 16 of 18 in the championship, but as we expect this race to go down, at the drop of the green flag, the championship may already be determined. Joe Hazard, with a good run last week, picked up his first win, but it was the top 5 for Jake Wright that got him up there in the points, and he's been so consistent so season. A P5 is considered a recovery night for him. Well, Jake Wright leads the championship standings by 145 points, back to James Krahula. Joe Hazard in third is 171 back, and in both 200 points back for Pierre Deigel and Tommy Rahn in the 4th and 5th position in the standings. James Krahula not scheduled to start tonight's race. I don't see him on the racetrack, so that means Jake Wright, once he takes the grid, is going to be looking to lock up the championship. 18 races, a long time, couple of drops thrown in there as well, but I don't think there's any objection, Sean, that based on not only just wins, but as well consistency and by the numbers, this has by far and large been a Jake Wright championship season.
Yeah, and Jake's been awful fast here. They've had a couple weeks to work at this, and Jake's been working especially hard. Been awful fast. He's sitting second right now in qualifying. Michel de Jong is sitting up there up top. I don't think anybody's seen much of him over these 2 weeks, so a little bit of a surprise. He comes right in and just sets down a real burner there with a 44.216. That's a pretty hot lap. Jake with a 3.19 right behind him. So, yeah, it's going to be fast up front. A couple new guys racing with him tonight that gave him the stamp of approval. Patrick Taylor in tonight. Ed Tutwiler making their debut here with the with the LionHeart Racing Series. And a couple of guys having to look out for some incident limit trouble. There is a rule in the league. You hit so many incident points within the season, you have to serve a suspension. And right now, Ian Adams flirting with only 4 points, and on a road course, you can rack up those incident points pretty quick. So here he might be considering starting and parking tonight. We'll have to see. Dan Guerin pretty close too, I think about 7 or 8 points away. And Michael Gray actually serving a suspension tonight. He's real close in points too, with just 2 races left after tonight. He comes back next week. He's going to have to be awful careful in a couple weeks when we get back to racing.
This is the final race on the 2015 racing calendar. We'll go back at it for round 17, but not until January. Coming up well off on through at the Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Dead Zone Racing 150. That coming up on the 6th of January on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Pre-race show, as always, begins at 10:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We hope you join us then, and in just 2 races to close out the championship. Tonight, though, one of the most anticipated road course events on the year set to take place and you talk about Michel de Jong at the top of the qualifying charts. No surprise, one of 3 drivers this season that has picked up multiple wins. He and Jake Wright both have 2. Dan Roper's got the most out of anybody with 3 at Milwaukee, Sonoma, and Richmond. But de Jong doubled up at Indianapolis. He won the Indianapolis 500 as well as the week prior the road course race in the Grand Prix of Indianapolis. We know that he always circles these road events on the calendar, and right now it looks like he's going to be off to the right step to get this one underway. So as the qualifying session now officially draws to a close, and looks like a total of 25 drivers put down a lap in tonight's Q session, we wait for the drivers to load up on the front straightaway, and with that we get set to take a look at the GSRC starting grid for tonight's race. The No Chance Racing Rocks 101. So pole position to the 101, Sean, conveniently enough, Michel de Jong, a 1:43.936, 4/10 faster than his closest competition. Gonna get the pole tonight. Outside of pole, fittingly enough, the 27 of Jake Wright. Dan Guerin going to start tonight's race in 3rd from the inside of row 2. Top side to him going to be the 05 of Ricky Harden in 4th. 5th spot going to be the 88 of Ryan Bird, and Jason Robars rounds out your top 8 qualifiers.
And Unacceptable Racing's Tommy Ryan in the number 66. He'll start 7th. Ron Hacker just outside of him there in the number 102, 8th. Joe Branch in 9th tonight in number 28. Ian Adams, we talked about him a moment ago. He'll start 10th in the number 3. Dylan Lee in the number 5. He'll start 11th. And Corey Connor, Old Tiger, he'll start 12th tonight.
Just behind there, you'll find Big Joe Hassert in the number 13 starting spot tonight, 14th, alongside the 12 of Jason Galvin. Christopher starting 15th. Pierre Deigel just officially announced as the newest addition to the LionHeart administration team. Going to be back in P16. We like to look forward to and thank Pierre for what he's going to be doing for this series rolling forward. 17th to Alfred E. Shepard, and Ed Towhiter going to be back at 18th position.
Okay, and let's see Tony Shallon back there in 19th, 30 in the number 31. Jack Bogan, he'll start 20th. George Unzalo, 21st tonight. Mark Nobert, 22nd. Jesse Fowler, 23rd. Robert Bluen will go 24th. Vincent Blumenthal, 25th. Brandon Linkeman, 26th. And Patrick Taylor, 27th. Tony Lurcock, 28th. And Pete Edwins will go 30th. 29th.
And I believe Tony Lurcock's number 42 is the only driver that's going to elect to start this race on the pit lane. It's an interesting call. It is a fun turn 1 here at this Road America racetrack, so it might get interesting down there with all of these guys. They do have a long front stretch, though, to kind of string things out and get single file. We talk about track position being key. Again, you can start P10, race your way up to 5th, but if you do so, you might already be 6 or 7 seconds behind the race leader. That's not going to help the 42 out time-wise, but it's a conservative approach for somebody that I believe coming into this race just trying to make it all the way for Tony Lurcock.
Yeah, and you know that trip into 1 here when we get this thing started, that's going to be the race right there for a lot of these guys. You got to get in space and get a little bit of clean air here to get the car settled in. It's going to be tough, but a lot of cars on this grid, so you're really going to have to watch out. Like I talked about, without that fast repair, you get off piste here, as they say in the skiing community. You're going to be in real trouble early.
25 laps, 4.048 miles per lap at 101 miles. Start to finish tonight. 14 turns on this track right now. The drivers working in between 5 and 6. They're going to go down through 7 hurry downs. They're going to head to Speedville, the carousel. You got 10, 11, 12 through Canada Corner, under the Billy Mitchell Bridge, 13, 14, and that very long front straightaway, which allows these guys a big opportunity to kind of draft up to somebody. I know it's something that we talk about a lot, primarily on the oval side of things, but because of the way this racetrack is laid out, not only are there a lot of turns, which we like to see, which provides a lot of opportunities for passing, but there's a lot of straightaways in there, some big, some small, that can mix things up as well.
Hey, and we haven't talked about it. The push to pass is in effect. They've got the push to pass to play with, and with these high speed opportunities out of the carousel and down Road America straight. You're going to see a lot of slicing and dicing tonight.
Just about set to get underway. Going to have a couple of unique onboards, and tonight we're featuring Jack Bogan. So we'll ride on board with his No Chance Racing car with the No Chance Racing onboard camera for tonight's race. You see on board Jack's machine now, starting from 22nd position. I can imagine that camera might be bringing us some interesting pictures early in this race. Restarts in this series, single file. Not going to see any tonight because we're going to be going green all the way through this one. Michelle DeYoung out in front, too wide. Again, thankful for that long front stretch. It's interesting because out of 14, you got a big uphill climb as well. This has got to be one of my top 3 favorite road courses on the sim, probably in real life as well. I know the Nürburgring was just added to iRacing, which has been a pretty big deal, Sean, but I don't think you can get much better than Road America for some open wheel action.
No, you really can't, Evan. This is going to be so much fun tonight. I can't wait. Almost sad it's the last road course for this season, but they'll be back next season stronger and better with even more road courses. Going to be fun. But this is a classic, like I talked about at the Open, and I have so much fun here. I can't wait to get this thing started. They head into the final turn and get ready to climb the hill.
That pace car is going to make the broad right-hand sweeping move out of the way. And from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, we're glad to have you with us on the Global Sim Racing channel and iRacing Live. Michelle DeYoung in control of the field at a turn 14. Across the start-finish straight, green flag flies, round 16 on the LionHeart IndyCar Series is underway. The No Chance Racing rocks 101 for Michelle DeYoung down to turn number 1. That's not the concern. It's second on back with her battling side by side. Top 3 play nice. First battle on the racetrack. It's a battle for the number 4 spot. Ryan Bird makes a move on Ricky Harden.
Yeah, everybody made it through one. Don't see anybody got off, and cars starting to fall in line right here. Single file, they're spreading out all the way through the back of the field.
Everybody's able to get through clean to 42. Now rolls for the pit lane again. Tony Lurcock elected to start from the pit lane for safety, so he's well back there. But other than that, everybody else has made it through these first couple of sets of quarters so far. It's DeYoung out in front of Jake Wright. Dan Guerin in third, but the challenge, look at the 80 to Ryan Bird. Bird put the move to Jason Robarge in 1 and 2. Just about got around Harden. When he did that, Harden was able to get the spot back. And now in that exchange, Bird puts a spot down on Dan Guerin. So Guerin gonna lose a spot. Give the 88 plus 2.
Oh, trouble back here. Trouble just before Speedville.
Couple of cars around, the 28 of Joe Branch, he's pointed backwards, as well as another one of those entries back there. Chris Stouffer trying to get going. Those guys just into the left-hander prior to going into the carousel. Contact well up in front of Stouffer, though. He's not where this starts. You take a look at the replay right there. Joe Branch, the first driver to go around. He got a little bit happy on those curbs, got sideways. Corey Connor tapped him, sent him around.
Yeah, and there was Pierre Deigel was real close to getting wrapped up in that too. He was right there. Don't see any hit damage on his car. It looked like he made it through clean, but boy, that was a real mess. Yeah, now you're going to see that yellow float. Oh, Deigel's around. Maybe he did have some damage. He's off into the grass.
And there's not a lot of runoff space between the asphalt and the outside of retaining wall there. He got a little bit over the curbs, actually, into the grass. Spun it out, though, kept it out of the fence. He had to wait, though, a couple of seconds to get back on track to avoid the traffic that was coming through. So Deigel going to get things pointed back forward. He loses a substantial amount of time in that. The battle for third, though, is on. The 88 of Ryan Bird has it now. He's passed 3 drivers from the start of this race, and started 5th. He's going to go up to 3rd right now, but he actually dropped 1 spot, Sean, before we got to turn 1. Got it back between 1, 2, and 3. Has passed 2 drivers since. First he got Guerin, and now passing Ricky Harden. Bird to the podium in 3rd.
Hey, tracking Big Joe Hassard. He started 13th, already got himself up to 8th. He's taking him down one at a time. Got a little bit of clean track in front of himself to work with right now. That could be an advantage for Big Joe Hassard. He loves the clean air, and man, that Nike machine looks really hot right now.
And he would love, I'm sure, to double up on Victory Lane 2 weeks ago in the last race at Charlotte, picking up his first win on the season. Would like to get it done on the road course. Make it up 5 spots so far, but he's 10 seconds back. That's also a noteworthy point in that battle for third that we have been talking about. Michelle DeYoung, Jake Wright have taken off the 101, the 27. Pretty even up the front of the field. You see a gap of about 6-7 car lengths through turn 14 and up the hill to the front straightaway. It is almost 4 seconds back until you get to Ryan Bird and Ricky Harden. So although those guys back there really weren't holding each other up that much in the battle themselves, you see just now coming over the hill way in the back was Ryan Bird. That's the gap that the race leaders are working. Top 2, 5 seconds out in front of everybody else, and DeYoung actually looking to put a little bit of time on right, picks it up to about a second differential that time.
Hey, just a quick report from the pits. It does look like Ian Adams decided to park that car. He's been in for almost 2 minutes now. Chris Stouffer's still sitting in there too. He's been in there for about a minute and a half. I don't know if he's trying to get repair or not. He hasn't left, but that car is really twisted up. I don't know if that Marlboro machine's going to make it out at Road America tonight.
And we talked about him being close to the incident limit as well, Sean. He was an innocent victim in that accident. Spinning in front of him was where it all started, and when Branch went around, he checked up, got hit in the back end by Stouffer. That's probably a couple of incident points, to say the least, there, after he got hit by a couple of guys in that exchange. So he's coming down the pit lane to maybe try to avoid going over that if he hadn't already. Tough break for somebody that knew that they had to be cautious tonight, and on the opening lap, they really couldn't have avoided that one, so tough break for him. He falls to 27th at the moment.
Man, I got to tell you, the top 2 have pulled away from the rest of the field. It's almost 5 seconds back to Ryan Bird sitting there in 3rd, but lots of good racing right there in that group of 4 or 5 cars. Big Joe, as I talked about, oh, somebody's around there. That was Mark Nobert. Looked like he just spun around there just before Speedville there again. Another car having trouble coming out of that turn, that hard left-hander right there.
And it was the same scenario there, just on the inside, got a little bit loose. However, where we saw that first accident, you saw the left side tires get up onto the curbing. That spun this car around. This time it looked like Nobert maybe went just a little bit too hot into the corner, tried to give the wheel a little bit much coming off the corner, because there's not a whole lot of runoff there curbing to make it off the corner if you go a little bit wide. Spun that car out. Problem for him. Maybe it was a good thing. He was a little bit towards the back of the pack, so there was nobody really quickly coming through there. But you can see now another problem for the 83 at Obert. Not a good start to this Road America venture. He just overshot that corner again. This time there was a sand trap to catch him, so I think that's it. Just being a little bit overzealous early.
You know, a lot of guys doing really well, making up good spots. George Gonzalo started 21st. He's up to 14th. Just ahead of him, Blumenthal started 25th. He's up to 13th. Guys really moving through this field. Jason Galvin started 14th. He's up to 9th. Jason Hassert there. Nice little battle going on between those two. Lots of racing going on out here right now, Evan.
And as we mentioned, it's not between the top 2 and 3rd on back. That now is a 9-second differential. Back to Ricky Harden. Well, Ryan Bird had that spot with pretty big problems for the driver of the number 88 machine. Again, he was about 4 seconds off of the race leaders. He'd worked really hard to get to 3rd. Had a problem, though, the last time around. Lost a lot of time after he spun out, I believe. That was down in turn number 5. Spun it out in the middle of the track, and I think he should be probably going to go and shake the hand of Ricky Harden after the race, because that was very close between those two. That's how Harden has gotten back to 3rd, but now Dan Guerin wants 3rd. So the 8 machine to the inside, and you run on board with it. Sinclair Tractors machine out the back end, executes that pass. So Guerin to 3rd, Harden back down to 4th. Tommy Ron in between in 5th, 6th is Robarge, and then Ryan Bird, who's now in 7th.
Yeah, Guerin, really nice, strong move by him as he heads up the straight here, down into 1, looking really good in the Sinclair Tractors DW12. Dan, been really fast here the past couple weeks, looking for a win tonight. Not too far from home, and certainly a place that he is familiar with and loves to run at. So, Dan, I wouldn't be surprised with maybe a little strategy. He might be fighting with this win before this night is over, Evan.
So that was the battle for 3rd. Couple of good fights going on for inside of the top 10, but at the moment, it looks like all of your top 10 runners have a decent gap amongst themselves. I don't want to keep mentioning that DeYoung and Wright are faster than everybody else, Sean, but I mean, that gap just went to 11 seconds, so it's not like they're a little bit quicker. They've got something figured out that the rest of the field hasn't quite picked up on yet.
Yeah, they're a lot quicker. Yeah, and the fact that DeYoung turned that 43.936, man, on the quali lap, that's just crazy. I haven't seen anybody hit that, not with these track conditions, hit that 43. So that was a pretty darn hot lap, man. And he's going to be fast all night. And like we talked about earlier, I mean, Jake had been fast here for the past couple weeks too, and nobody had seen DeYoung until he showed up tonight. And it's going to be an interesting battle between those two before this race is over because Jake's not letting him get away.
They're keeping each other honest, and that gap just 0.6 of a second at 5 laps in now. 5 laps to the books as DeYoung crosses the start-finish line there. We talked about DeYoung out qualifying right by 0.4 of a second. You're a lot faster than everybody else, more than 0.4 of a second, if you've got a gap over 10 seconds after 5 laps. Now, Jake Wright had the best lap we've seen all night in practice. He had a 1:43.1, an incredibly fast lap time with a 1:44.3 in qualified. With 4 opportunities, that tells me that, again, with 14 turns, one time you might take a little bit of a gamble in the practice. Jake Wright, it's an unbelievable lap in practice. Couldn't quite match it up in qualifying, but it tells me that he's got the speed. And you said it there, they're keeping each other close. They're honest. 0.9 of a second is the gap at the moment. They're close enough to the point where I think a little bit of pit strategy might play a factor in which one of these two, assuming that they continue to run clean, which is a key point at these road course races. You can be fast and have fast lap times, but if you can't be consistent, that really doesn't mean a whole lot because there's no cautions to bail you out. If they can stay consistent and they stay rather clean, it might be a little bit of a short pit strategy that might give somebody the upper hand.
Tell you who's real consistent right now, Jason Galvin, looking really good right now. He is catching Ryan Bird and leaving Big Joe Hazard behind in that KG.
Guerin.
Dan Guerin.
He's backwards in the middle of the track from third. He's spun out, and I believe that was in the same turn, Sean, that we've seen all the problems.
Hurry down,
just before Speedville. Yeah, down in turn number 8. Spun it out. A great job by Ricky Harden to avoid him. Harden just about plowed into Bird when he spun, and he just about plowed into Guerin there. So the 05 machine, 2 heart attacks in 2 laps, puts him to third spot. A good job, though, with the wreck avoidance.
Yeah, real good job. That was a good save right there. Good job by Dan. That was pretty. That was what we call a pucker moment. Dan fighting through that real well. Car back on track and just drop it back. Was talking about Galvin as we got away from that for Dan. Galvin catching Ryan Bird as I talked about as they head up the straight right now, and Big Joe again being pulled away from. Not able to make up ground on Galvin yet, so really good battle there going on between 8th, 9th, and just ahead 7th place there. Dan Guerin slipping back as that getting off the track really slowed him down a little bit. Ryan Bird able to get ahead.
Yeah, that one spin puts Dan Guerin from 3rd to 7th and 23 seconds behind the race leader. That's how critical it is to not make a mistake. Ricky Harden, we talked about the save. Well, he would have gone to 3rd. He was at 4th at the time when 3rd place runner Dan Guerin spun out. Off in the grass to keep out of that accident. He does fall to 5th behind Tommy Ryan, behind Jason Robar, so the number 79 goes to 3rd. Ryan's number 66, goes to the 4th spot. So Harden does fall to P5. It's a lot better, though, falling to P5 than having to come down to the pit lane, and I think he's going to be putting the pressure on these guys soon. You see him through Speedville right now at 05, not on that far off of the back end of the number 66 Northern Tool and Equipment entry of Tommy Ryan. A battle for 4 brewing.
That's those 2 teammates from Unacceptable Racing working there. And you know what, Evan? The pit window is about to open.
It is, guys, now 7 laps into this race, and if you do 7 laps every time, you're going to be a little bit short. If you can go just a little bit more than 8, get 8 and 1/9, you're good to do it on 2 stops if that is indeed the game plan. So far, none of your race leaders, at least up front, have elected to come down to the pit lane for any scheduled service. And Ryan spun, the number 66, we just talked about how he had jumped up to 4th. The 66 machine coming off of the corner. I talked about the very thin rumble strips for overshooting the corners at this track, Sean. There's no big paved asphalt portions of the track if you blow the turn. 66 left side tires into the grass. He spins it and clocked it right on one of those tire barriers. Heavy damage to the 66, and now he is forced down pit road early. Not only does this hurt him, as you see the replay on board, and right there is where he loses the handle on it. It's going to hurt him time-wise, but as well, I think pitting right now might jeopardize that fuel window.
It really might, and there were a couple other guys that decided to come in while all that was happening. Corey Connor came in, Dylan Lee, Pierre Daigle, Tony Showen, Mark Nobert. So the pit stops are starting to fall now. Tommy Ryan going to be in for a lot of repair right there. That's going to be probably a long pit stop. It may be indefinite. He may not be able to get that car back out, but definitely guys settling in. Oh, Ed Tutwiler is around.
And that
Just
one's going to
pick
get a
that up.
second look as well. He was running back in the pack at around P10, so he was doing a good job. That car still stopped, though. He can't get it turned around. That's the second most popular corner we've seen for problems tonight. That was turn 5. He got it looped. Problem was, oh, now he's in the tires again. So bad from worse now. The 54 machine, he had to wait so long, Sean, to get back going. And I don't know if he didn't expect the car to be damaged or something, but he just did not make the next corner at all and gave a good shot to the tire barrier. And now that Marlboro machine is really torn up.
Yeah, and he's got Tommy Ryan coming real quick behind him. That battle between Ryan and Shepard going on right there behind. And, yeah, he's got to get out of the way or get into the pits real quick. I'm sorry, that was Nobert just behind him, but yeah, he's got to get into the pits and get that thing repaired. That's a lot of damage on that car.
The leaders elect to stay out one additional time, so they work lap number 9 at this point. You're good if you could make it 9 more laps, assuming they pit the next time, so their fuel numbers are right on for Michelle DeYoung and Jake Wright running 1-2. Jason Robarge is still out on track 3rd, Hardin 4th, and 5th to Ryan Burdick, and a couple of guys have began to trickle down pit road, but still with 23 drivers on the lead lap. Everything at a pretty good spot. The 54 that we had just mentioned, the problems for Tutwiler, he will be coming down for scheduled service, as well as, I'm sure, damage repairs. Peter Edwins, one of the drivers, going to be coming down pit road as well. My eyes, though, to see if the leaders are going to be in. I would expect them to be in this time.
Could be. That pit window we talked about being 8 to 9 laps. We didn't talk about 10. Don't think anybody had gone 10. So, yeah, the guys up front are starting to call it now. Jason Galvin getting ready to come in. And Dan Guerin's coming in. He just made the call. So here we go. These pit stops are coming.
So they make the call. They going to come down to the pit lane.
Yeah, here comes DeYoung, but he almost lost it coming out of the final turn. That car almost went all the way around.
That was the same spot where we saw the, I was going to say near problem, but we actually saw the big issues for, at time, 3rd place runner when we saw those problems at a 4 that has pushed since backwards, the heavy damage to Tommy Ryan. Close call there, but these guys are going to get into the pit lane. It's a long track, so you're not necessarily losing a lap when you come down to the pit lane, although caution's not really a concern to trap yourself a lap down. It is a long pit road, though, so DeYoung going to come into the pit stall all the way at the end of pit road for qualifying on pole position. He's in pit stall number 1. Behind him, Jake Wright in stall 2. 7-second pit stop delta. 4 tires, gas, and go. They're both away. Jake Wright, though, may have made up a little bit of time.
And time he needed, but that was a good pit stop. All your leaders are coming in here. Nobody going to try and stretch it to 10. This is the drop-dead lap to come in, obviously. DeYoung gets out clean, and Jake Wright gets just a little bit closer. Really good pit stop for that number 2017.
If you're trying to make it and maybe you're short by a quarter of a lap to make it an additional lap at a 4-mile track, you're not going to save that much fuel. So basically come down on the numbers. Don't try anything too crazy to this extent. The only leniency we may see, if these guys stretch it to lap 18, assuming they do another 9 laps in, that puts you with 8 laps to go to the end, a little bit of a shorter one. So you might get 1 or 2 lap difference when these guys come down to the pit lane the second time. Somebody might try lap 17, somebody might try lap 18 for the race leaders. Other than that, though, you're pretty much going to have to decide this one out on track. Getting out of the way is Pierre Daigle. He got a little bit crossed up down into turn number 8 through Speedville. He'll pull over to the side, allow DeYoung and Wright to go on through. Those 2 drivers expected to go back to the race lead once this cycles through.
Well, after that cycle of pit stops there, the field is really spread out now. And, the racing a little bit harder to find. But, you're at a point right now, you're settled in, you've got fresh tires again. You're going to probably tend to maybe overdrive it just a little bit, pick up a little speed, see if you can catch that guy in front of you. You're going to push the car a little hard. That could bring trouble, especially through the kink. I'm watching these guys go through. Ryan Bird and Dan Guerin close behind right now. Lots of speed through there, an opportunity to use the push to pass. Dan not quite close enough yet. You got to conserve them. You only get so many of them to work with, but because that's in play, that doesn't make passing impossible, even if you are 3 seconds behind. You can make it up here.
And again, still with 15 laps to go on the board, somebody makes a mistake in front of you as well, so you can kind of pressure them into maybe making a mistake, put a little bit of pressure on them, and maybe hope that they make a mistake as opposed to you overdriving that car. There's a lot of ways that you can get into somebody's head at a road course like this because there's just so many marks you have to hit. If they're focused on you behind them in their mirror, they might miss the breaking point by a little bit. That could be your opportunity to pounce. We talk about, though, being smart, being safe, and conserving the race car, Sean. Michelle DeYoung out in front has no intentions of doing so. Now, if Jake Wright wasn't here, it'd probably be a different story because back to third is 22 seconds. But with Jake Wright just 1 second off of his gearbox, DeYoung is pushing that car every single lap. I'd say 50% of the corners, he's overshooting the curbing just a little bit because I'm seeing dirt getting kicked up. So he's using every single inch and more of that racetrack.
And you know something interesting about that dirt being kicked up? Something with this new build that came out last week here in iRacing. When you pick that dirt up, you carry it with you for a while. It takes a while to scrub all that off. It's really come into play a lot more. A track like this, you can really, obviously there's lots of opportunities to pick up some of that junk. And if you're carrying that with you and it's actually affecting the handling of your car, yeah, you're losing time here. I'm watching Corey Connor right now. He's trying to get around Ron Hacker. Been working really hard to close it in on him, and he's done it as they head through Speedville and through the carousel they go and get ready to head for that high-speed opportunity there through the kink. Opportunity for Corey to try and catch him, use that push to pass right here.
Had a spin a couple of moments ago. Jason Galvin went around from the number 9 position, going into turn number 6, up the hill and under the bridge, approaching Hurry Downs. He lost the handle on that car, split it around. Joe Hassert is the only driver, I believe, that was able to get by him, so that would bump Hassert up to 9th, drop Galvin down to 9th. And a spinner in the final corner. Look out, Galvin's going to avoid it. It's Mark Nobert's number 83 machine, backwards in turn 14. He spun out right in front of Jason Galvin, who we were just talking about. Nobert goes for a ride, and that car kind of slid backwards to the exit of the corner. A close call. He was able to get out of the way. Now getting back up to speed, but two more drivers there barely avoid each other.
Galvin, so lucky after having that trouble right there, and he just misses him. That was a really close call, but Galvin survives and heads downhill now under the Sargento Bridge there, and car is still under power, and he's got to be feeling pretty lucky right now.
And we always talk about how if you make a mistake on track and then you find yourself back in a pack and then something bad happens to you, it's difficult to blame anybody but yourself because a mistake that you made puts yourself in that position to begin with. But after feeling rather unlucky, Jason Galvin probably feels all right with everything that went down, all things considered. And now he spins it again, though. Same turn as he did last lap, Sean. That's coming out of 5, up the hill to 6. It's a blind left-hander before 7 to Hurry Downs 8, and then into Speedville. This has been a very difficult section of the racetrack. Second lap in a row that number 83 loses the handle on Nobert's machine.
Boy, they're really having trouble with it tonight. Maybe they've been turning right a little bit too long. The left-handers presenting just a bit of a challenge, and I'm a little surprised by that. Just because of the practice races that I've watched, everybody's been pretty smooth.
Oh, and now Nobert again around.
Nobert.
So for the third time in a row about the 83, there was a car off in front of him. That was George Anzaldo, and I think kind of reacting to that was Nobert. He checked up, and being collected in that one was Ed Tutwiler, who locked up the brakes trying to stay off, and that's a 2-car wreck, and that one all going down in turn number 8. That's another one of the calamity corners so far, and then when they try to get around it, we talk about guys being lucky. Tony Lurcock, Sean, trying to go through the grass to avoid it, and when he did, he got cut off by those cars trying to get out of the way of the racing surface, and I think Lurcock might have got beaten up a little bit.
Well, you know, got to go back to the lead for just a second here and check out what's going on. DeYoung is really starting to open it up on Jake Wright. Almost 10 seconds to the good right now.
And those guys were, again, just about a second. I know we saw it grow to about maybe 1.2 seconds at the longest, but the problem for Jake Wright was back on lap 12. He had a spin, Sean. If you had to guess which corner it would be in, and you said 8, you would be correct because that's where the spin happens. So even Jake Wright, a mistake like that, again, we talk about just don't make a mistake. If he's faster than you, okay, but when a mistake costs you 9 seconds to drop him back that far, he's nearly now 10 seconds away from him, up topside now in the number 2 spot. If a spin will cost you 9 seconds, if you give up 1 or 2 tenths each lap to be conservative, it's worth it. So now, Michelle DeYoung might be able to take it a little bit easier for the rest of this race, back her down a little bit, because Jake Wright making a rare mistake that we see out of the 27, but it came in a spot that we have seen basically everybody else have their mistakes, and that's turn 8.
And DeYoung, I tell you what, gonna have to
right in
avoid
front of
trouble
him.
right there. Oh.
Lincoln was around right in front of your race leader, Michelle DeYoung. That one was in turn number 5. 5 and 6 and then 8 have been the problem spots tonight. Lincoln ran around. Dylan Lee checked up to avoid him. And when all of that happened, just coming not all that far behind was Michelle DeYoung. He's lucky he didn't arrive there 5 seconds earlier, or that track would have been log jammed.
Well, Grandma Evelyn there is not going to like that for her boy there, Brandon. She's a big fan, watches these races, probably watching right now. Tough break for Lincoln there, and, he's still on the track, but, again, losing time and now lost, going to be losing the lap here pretty quickly.
And you would have to imagine that DeYoung probably checked up for that one a little bit, kind of had a decent view of what was going on outside of that corner as they came into it. So he'll check up to kind of avoid any sort of a situation there, and he's got the time to do so. It is going to cost him, though, that 9.3 second gap might be down more than around 8 seconds or so. Well, knowing Jake Wright crosses the start-finish line, Wright coming off the corner, still has to work around Lincoln in that lap traffic. It looks like Lincoln get a pull over to the right side of the track on the front stretch. He'll wave Jake on by, so that 27 now with a little bit of clean air to try to work with, but he does gain significant time, 7/10 of a second, the gap down to 8.6. Again, that is because, Michelle DeYoung had a problem topside. Not saying that Jake Wright was 7/10 quicker all by himself there, but you get a couple of more mistakes, and what looks like an almost unmarginable gap to get to can become very close still with 10 laps to go the next time around.
Yeah, and you know what? Dan Guerin's still working pretty hard here. Can't quite catch Ryan Bird. He's trying. Got a really good line. He's been real smooth after having a little bit of trouble earlier. Been able to keep it on course and again, turning some really good laps. But Ryan just a little bit better. Dan trying to close in right now. And again, just not able to get him. Maybe he can outbreak him here. Heading down to the left-hander. We'll see.
We talk about lots of turns and lots of, as well, straightaways. Well, straightaways provide heavy braking zones, passing opportunities, but there's a lot of rhythm sections on this racetrack. So there's plenty of opportunities for somebody to try to make a move and set somebody up. If you're not good at heavy braking, then you can use those rhythm sections to your advantage. If you're not good at the rhythm sections and you think you can outbrake somebody, you can use the exits, say turns number 1, 5 as well, maybe turn 12 at Canada Quarter. Haven't seen a lot of action in the back half of the track, though, so far, Sean. Most of the problems have been coming in the middle portion between 5 and 8.
Tony Schowen conveniently got out of the way of Dan Guerin and Ryan Bird, but it allowed Dan to get a little bit closer there as they got around Schowen. It was a near miss, to be really honest with you. I kind of one of those moments where a couple of your guys fighting for a top 5 there almost out of the race.
And a big checkup for Jason Galvin. The number 12 machine got well out of the accelerator. He let a bunch of guys by in Speedville, and that car is not up to speed. May have been involved in an accident just a couple of turns prior. He is significantly slowed, though, after that car broke loose in turn number 6. And right now, he's doing no more than about 90 miles an hour right now. May have caused some sort of a problem with that car. You see, he's getting out of the way. This is from a top 10 spot on track. A terrible break for the driver of the 12, who got through a couple of close calls early. This one may bite him the worst.
Yeah, that's a tough break for the KGET NBC DW12 there. Jason, tough luck for him tonight. He was looking forward to this race. I know he was. He looks forward to every one of them, but he's got significant damage. I'm afraid it's the suspension damage he's got on the car right now that's slowing him down. I think that car.
Oh, he's well off. Yep, that's
he can't steer the car. Yep, that's it. He's going to have to tow her in.
He hadn't had a left-hander for a while. It was a lot of right-handers, and that car just absolutely did not turn. And The sand is supposed to help you slow down, but it really didn't help him much. He just skidded right through it, right to a concrete wall. We knew he would be coming pit bound the next time a little bit early, but the 12 machine is in to try to get those damages repaired if he can even get back out of the racetrack. So tough break for one of your top 10 cars before all of that went down in Jason Gallagher. Meanwhile, Michel de Jong, lap 16 in the books. He goes to lap 17. You can pit now or the next lap. Those are the two opportunities that I would imagine, Sean. If you're Jake Wright 8.3 seconds back, you know, it's no longer a 1.3 second gap, so I really don't think pitting one lap sooner to try to get a tire advantage in track position would be to that much of gain. Again, tires aren't really a huge concern here, so I would expect maybe both of these guys to just play it safe, come down the next time, but the pit window through the end is now open
here comes
for everybody
Dan
that pitted at lap 9.
Here comes Dan Garen. I'm sorry, Evan. Here he comes. He's overtaking Ryan Bird, heading up the front straight. Almost decides to slip in behind as they head to 1. Man, Garen almost got him right there. That was a good battle.
And I think he might have got spooked because there was a car coming out of pit road right next to those guys, and he didn't want to be 3 wide, so he ducked back in line, which is the smart decision. If you have a faster car, Sean, you can bomb it into the corner, take yourself out and take him out possibly, but if you really feel your car's faster, you do what he just did. Back off, regroup, go at him again, so that's a good move by the 8 machine.
Yeah, still plenty of time left here, and that puts some trouble right in front of those guys right there to the left.
Pete Edwin's up against the left side of the racetrack. He's down at just about 60 miles an hour. He sticks to the left side to try to get out of the way, let those guys go through, and do battle without being a factor.
Yeah, again, another good luck moment there for those two. They're racing hard right now, heading through the carousel onto the kink. And both pretty strong, still fighting for that 5th and 6th position. You got to admire the dedication.
And that battle going on 34 seconds behind your race leaders. Michel de Jong stays out. Jake Wright is in. So that's the strategy play by the 27, is he'll pit 1 lap sooner. Not enough, I wouldn't imagine, to make up a 9.5 second gap. This looked like a viable strategy option earlier in this race when he was just a couple of tenths off. But Jake Wright does come down. He does an 8 lap stint, and it is going to be Michel de Jong in the next time by with his second 9 lap stint on the race. We would imagine both of these guys, though, getting their final swig of service.
And Robarge, Hardner in, Brian Bird's in, a lot of guys coming in. So, yeah, that, again, it's starting to, the hammer is starting to fall. Everybody is making that last pit stop. Going to make their way to the end here with about 7 laps to go when they get back out.
And kind of surprised at all of the guys that came in from the top 5 on what we would consider a lap sooner. You know, you're looking at some point you're going to take an 8-lap stint, but trying to split it maybe to 9.98 or 9.89, depending on which lap you're coming down to the pit lane. 15 drivers still on the lead lap as all of this continues to cycle through. Jake Wright provisionally about 20 seconds back after he came down on the pit lane. The tire fall off, though, again, if you pit earlier, the idea at an oval with a lot of fall off would be is that you get back out there with fresher tires and you're going to run better lap times than that other guy around you, and you're going to make up time while he's onto the pit lane because you'll run a lap on fresher tires while he runs one more lap on a little bit older tire, Sean. Though at a road course of this function, I mean, you're only losing maybe 1 second per lap, so it's not really a huge gamble. De Jong in right on the number at lap number 18 from the race lead.
Yeah, and he makes that last stop coming in. Lots of chatter on the radio right now, guys talking about their strategy. Going to be a good battle here as we settle back in. Like you talked about, 15 cars still on the lead lap. Looks like we're down to 14. When we cycle around, it might go back to 15, but the race is on and not with a whole lot of time left here.
Young into his stall, trying to avoid, any adverse penalties. Just take your time, get the service done. Car goes up on the jack for Firestone tires. Race fuel in it, off and away. There goes Michel de Jong, and as he blends back up on the racetrack, Jake Wright just now coming under the Caterpillar Bridge on the exit of turn 14. Safe to say that de Jong, assuming that he continues to run smooth and consistent lap times, comfortably in front of Jake Wright. Ryan Bird, though, to the provisional race lead at the time. The number 88 machine is still out there on the racetrack. He is yet to come down pit road for the second time tonight. He's stretching it for a 10-lap run.
Yeah, he is. Gonna have to maybe tech that car at the end of this thing and see where he's hiding the fuel. Maybe it's got something to do with that bait fuel he's running there, and that could be getting him just that extra lap he needs to run this strategy he's running, Evan.
And a couple of guys towards the back half of the lead lap, they fall off of the lead lap in the cycle of pit stops, and then they'll kind of blend back up as things continue to go on. Well, it's impressive to see that DeYoung maybe passing Ryan Bird not all that long from now with one entire pit stop more than what the 88 has done, which is impressive but yet disappointing for the 88 because we knew how strong Ryan Bird was earlier on in this race. All of that continuing to go up at the front of the field. I would imagine the 88 has to come in this time. We talked about maybe stretching it 10 laps being a long. I don't think you're going to be going for 11, so Ryan Bird should be pit bound this time, and then that would put DeYoung, Wright, and Harden back to 1, 2, 3, which is where they were before all of this began.
Jack Bogan just called his pit. It looks like he's going to make his way in here next time by. On board with that No Chance Racing on-board camera. Seeing Jack Bogan get through Canada right there, that's a tough turn. Going to get up to speed here, and a real good left-hander. Got to keep it tight so that car doesn't get around as he heads to the final turn and then up the straightaway. Going to bring that car in here. And there he goes, Jack Bogan into the pit there with the No Chance Racing on-board camera.
So he comes in well behind Ryan Bird. Ryan Bird in for the final time tonight. The driver that started top 5 passed 4 drivers early on in this race, but had a problem that sent him about 30 seconds back. Well, it's about your pit time delta, which is why he was out there just in front of DeYoung before he had to come down to the pit lane. Bird going to get back out there, still trying to salvage maybe a P6 or a P7 to finish on this one. The top 2 well separated apart. The battle for third is where it's at. It's Jason Robards passing Ricky Harden on that last lap. The 79 bumps up to third. He drops Harden down to 4th.
Yeah, don't give up yet on Harden. Harden, he'll fight to the end for sure. He's gonna, as they head up here under the Corvette Bridge, you'll see here. Harden is not gonna take that lightly. He's gonna be all over Robar. He's gonna give him all he can handle right here. Let's see if he can outbreak him right here to the left-hander.
Harden drives it in hard, not enough, and you gotta watch that corner because that's been the treacherous part so far tonight. I think both of those guys, a couple of tires off into the sand, kicking some dust up, and now they'll go through Speedville. Down the back part of the racetrack, they'll go through turn 10, the kink, the right-hander right here. Full throttle all the way through for those 3 guys. They're relatively close to them. Dan Guerin, but not in a spot to challenge it, and Guerin well to the good over Tommy Ryan. So really the only battle inside of the top 5 at the moment is this battle that we're seeing for third right now. Curious to see where Ryan Bird's going to shuffle out. I believe he'll be about P5, which would be a relatively good recovery. Although he started P5, Sean, although he was on the podium early, all things considered after having that spin early, recovering for this finish, still a great run for him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Nothing to be ashamed about. You know, it's kind of funny. We talked about all the guys earlier that were having great runs and they made their way up through the field. And yeah, as things kind of start to shake out here, you're seeing a lot of the guys that qualified up front. As our friend Richard Losper would say, the cream is rising to the top. And it seems to be doing exactly that because really your big movers right now, Alfred Shepard started 17th. He's up to 9th. But the rest of these guys, like I said, the rest of the top 10 is comprised of guys that started right there in the top 10.
Which is interesting because we talked about a lot of the big movers early on in this race. The only 2 drivers that started top 9 that aren't in the top 9 right now are Joe Branch, who started 9th. He's running in 10th position, not all that far behind Alfred Shepard, and actually he'll complete that pass. So Branch going to go to 8th position, which leaves Ronald Hacker as the only driver that started in one of those single-digit starting positions as running outside of them right now. Started P8, he runs at 11th. Other than that, your top 8 drivers on track all started up there. We also documented the problems as well earlier on in this race for a couple of those guys. The 2 that have made the biggest splash, maybe not plus-minus wise, but as far as cracking some positions, Alfred E. Shepard in 9th spot. I just talked about Branch putting a move on him. Shepard's been doing good, went 17th to 9th on the start. The biggest mover a little bit behind them, 25th to 12th for Vincent Blumenthal, and 28th to 15th for Patrick Taylor, the number 81 machine, quietly running in 15th, 1 lap down, but he's passed 13 cars.
Hey, our leader, he's got a little bit of work to do right now. He is coming right up on Corey Connor and George Ansaldo right up there in front of him. George already came on the radio, told him he'd give him the way around, but Corey fighting with him just a little bit there as they head into the left-hander. Corey fighting with him pretty good as they head under Corvette Bridge right now, and they get into another left-hander. And DeYoung picking up a little bit of dirt right there on those tires as he tries to catch George Ansaldo now.
He kicks it up into the face of Tiger Connor behind him, so Corey Connor, the tire print as well, on board of that number 2 machine. He'll fall 1 lap to the negative from the number 10 spot. So will Ron Hacker, Vincent Blumenthal, and George Ansaldo here shortly. Those are the drivers that are towards the tail end of the lead lap. That's who DeYoung has to get around. So far tonight, these lap machines have been very good at staying out of the way. They'll go high and they'll take the outside lane into the corner or something to that extent. But eventually, when you start to catch these guys like Blumenthal and Zaldo, Hacker, Connor, they're fighting amongst themselves as well for position. Plus, they don't want to finish 1 lap down, so they might give you a little bit of a harder time. I don't think they're going to go up there and straight up block you, but I think that it's going to be a lot more of a difficult time. Hearing more problems for the number 79 of Jason Robards. Drum roll, turn number 8, Sean.
Boy, Hurry Down's really collected these guys tonight, making it difficult to get into the carousel with any speed. Yeah, I guess no surprise. That is going to be a legendary turn for the LionHeart Racing Series before this night is over.
And almost over it is. Michel DeYoung going to be on that 3 laps to go now as he exits turn number 3. He goes down the moraine, sweep through 4, down to 5 and 6 to the inside of the racetrack on George Ansaldo. He goes. That is not a battle for position. Ansaldo, the last driver, scored on the lead lap in 10th. Will give up that spot, but a little bit of a close call behind him as Ansaldo and Connor, again, I said they're fighting for position. It is the battle for P10. Both these guys now 1 lap down. That's why they weren't taking it too easy on the race leader, Sean, because they had to try to get through that exchange with DeYoung as good as they could have individually because they're trying to fight amongst each other. That's for a top 10 spot, so there's big things up for grabs there.
Yeah, well, Corey, he's got to be careful there now. He doesn't exactly have a Nerf bar on the front of that thing, and if you lose your wing here, you're in real trouble.
And we talked about the straightaways being an opportunity to use the draft, to use the push to pass. Well, Connor got tight that time through the kink in turn 10. They'll look to the inside, though, through 11 to Canada quarter and 12, side by side for 10th. Corey Connor going to get the spot from George Ansaldo. And watch out, the third car in that fray as well, right behind him. Big Joe Hassert from 12th into the party.
And this is the race right now. Big Joe almost got into the rear end there of George Ansaldo. Here they go, up the hill, making the climb to the start-finish line. Gonna probably use that push to pass. He got one left. Here comes Big Joe Hassard. Gonna slingshot right around George Ansaldo right here. Can he make it to turn 1 before George? We'll see. High-speed turn here.
He'll get the job done off. They were pretty even into the corner, but Ansaldo on the outside of the racetrack, not the best way to go into the corner. A little bit of a bobble, as you mentioned, the back end of that car didn't quite stay glued down, so Hassert gets the spot. Now Hassert needs to get closer to Corey Connor to get that draft. You see the gap between these guys, rather even from Corey Connor in 10th, back to Joe Hassert 11th, and 12th in George Ansaldo. Behind them, you're seeing Jake Wright. Wright needs to get through this. He has closed significant time on Michel DeYoung. The gap down to just 6.4 seconds. Why, you ask? Well, we're inside of the final 2 laps at Road America. Michel DeYoung is going to milk every single tenth of that 6.4 second gap as long as it means he can keep that car under control.
Yeah, but Jake did pick up some time. Give him a little bit of credit. He's still fighting. Obviously Jake, nothing to lose here at this point. He's won a championship, but I think there's a little bit of pride at stake for old Jake Wright. And, any bit closer he can get to DeYoung is, I guess, another feather in his cap. What a great season for Jake Wright.
It's been a great season through 15 races. We've had 11 different race winners. Ryan Bird, problems from the number 4 spot. He'll spin in turn number 8. It was problems in front of him. Jesse Fowler got around. Bird got collected. Obviously
and
not
Bird
happy
is
about
off
that.
again.
Bird is going to lose P5 from Jason Robards. Dan Guerin soon to take that spot from him. And Bird, obviously, with that damage on, you talk about losing the wing, got that damage, and that car's not going to handle nice for the next 1.5 laps.
No, and you know, it's almost, you almost just probably have to bring it in and see if you can get that fixed. Unless you can just muscle that thing around. Going to be awful tough to do. He lost so much time right there. And, and Fowler slow on the track again. Oh, that car is just all out of shape, and he's around and into the wall. Oh, and back on the racing surface.
Your leader is well out in front of all of the excitement back in the pack. Michel de Jong has taken the white flag. The point that I was going to make, Sean, before those guys got all twisted up is that through 15 races, we've seen 11 different winners. 3 multi-time winners. Daniel Roper's got 3 wins. He tops the pile. Both Jake Wright, who runs second, and Michel de Jong, who runs in first right now, both have 2 wins on the year with only 2 races left. It's, again, you talk about Jake Wright locking up the championship. Maybe a little bit of bragging rights. They want to get up to 3 wins each other, and the 2 guys with 2 wins on the year run 1-2 right now, but it looks like de Jong's got half a lap to go.
Yeah, it looks like he does, and man, you know, the guy just shows up and wins races, man. I don't know what else to say. He's just that good. He's really put on a clinic here at Road America tonight. It's been a very impressive run for de Jong.
Just 50 minutes after the grid, Michel de Jong through the final set of corners and through turn number 14. It'll be his second on a road course, but third on the season. Off the final corner at lap number 25. Checkered flag and a win at Road America. His third win on the season for Michel de Jong, and in second position behind him, a 2015 Season 3 championship for your second place runner. Jake Wright, your champion, comes home in second.
Ricky Harden trying to lock up third. Coming out of the final turn. He's going to make it. Kept the car clean. Jason Robards will be the next one behind him. He's going to try and bring it home fourth. All he's got to do is manage these he's through the last turn, and now he's up the straight. Robards getting that 4th place finish. And Dan Guerin just behind.
P6 looking like it's going to go to Tommy Ryan. We talked about Ryan Birdshaw in a top 5 spot, and we mentioned how being in P5 would be a good recovery for him based on the problems that he had tonight. Well, he was not able to complete that last lap with the damage. In fact, he came down pit road, crossed the start-finish line at the white flag. You see him on the side there. He's onto the pit lane. He will not finish this race, so he'll get 24 laps completed. He'll be scored anywhere between 10th and 20th, which is amongst the drivers that will finish 1 lap down. He may still be able to get a top 10, though, out of this. Tough break, all things considered. Sometimes that's the way this falls, but I think a very fitting way for this race to go down. Jake Wright has been oh so consistent. He locked up the championship at the drop of the green flag, but another top 5 and making it his total 10th top 5 and 13th top 10 on the season to lock up the championship here tonight at Road America. And for Michel de Jong, the road course ace picks up his 2nd road win on the season. He has now tied for the most wins all time this year with Dan Roper with 3.
What a race. I mean, you know, the lead up to it, we talked about it in the beginning and how exciting this track is. We saw plenty of it. Lots of cars battling for position. De Jong, though, again, just the class of the field tonight as we see him here burning it down one last time here, cutting his donuts and enjoying this podium finish. And, just, again, he just shows up and win races. My hat's off to the guy. I really enjoyed watching him get around this track. It's inspiration for a guy like me who is probably about 6 seconds slower than he is. So, yeah, I'm going to pick up some good tips from what I saw tonight.
And I won't quite say it was 6 seconds per lap, Sean, but I mean, everybody else who we say that this is, the premier American Open Wheel Sim Racing Championship out there, they weren't quite 6 seconds slower per lap, so they weren't as slow as me and you, but I mean, they were well back there. So for Michel de Jong to do what he just did here tonight, a big statement race. And I say that he's the road course expert. Won earlier in the season at Indianapolis on the road side, but he also won the Indy 500. You talk about the most grueling oval race on the calendar. He locked that one up too. So, for somebody that you don't necessarily see in every single race, I think I'm very impressed with his Season 3 campaign.
Yeah, I got a feeling he's welcome here anytime he decides to show up. Again, just a real electrifying driver to watch. Has put on quite a show for us in those 3 wins this season. And, again, Jake Wright, he's just been so consistent all season. So he doesn't win tonight. Big deal. He still finishes second and still continues to shine here this season. And congratulations on a championship. And we're not going to exactly give him his crown tonight. We'll give it to him in a few weeks. But again, congratulations to Jake Wright.
The formalities are going to have to wait until after Auto Club Speedway's Make-A-Wish Drive for the Championship 300 on January the 13th. So basically a month he has to sit waiting, knowing he's the champion before he can collect. But with the second place finish, he wraps up the title. And with Michel de Jong's win tonight, he gets his 3rd on the season. We hope you stay tuned with us on GSRC and iRacing Live, because the post-race show for Motor America coming up in just a moment. We'll talk to Michel de Jong and the rest of your podium finishers, so stay tuned. We welcome you back live to the virtual Road America track here for round 16 of 18 on the Season 3 Championship at LionHeart IndyCar Series on the Global Sim Racing channel and iRacing Live. Tonight's No Chance Racing Rocks 101 is in the books, and it is Michel de Jong with his third checkered flag on the season that leads the way when it is all said and done. Talking to the podium finishers, they're standing by. Before so, though, let's take a look at the GSRC finishing results for tonight's race to let you know where all your favorite drivers wound up at the end of 25 laps in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. It was Michel de Jong out in front of the field, 11 seconds over Jake Wright, who comes home in second spot, and Ricky Harden had to close his eyes a couple of times, but enough to get a third place finish, 27 seconds back. Fourth position to Jason Robarge. Dan Garrett walks away inside of the top 5 at the end of it all. Tommy Ryan spin late, comes home in P6. Joe Branch recovers for a 7th place result. Alfred E. Shepard, one of the bigger movers, up 9 spots for P8. He was as well the final driver to finish on the lead lap. Behind him in 9th for Ryan Bird, who was top 5 in an accident at 2 laps to go. Could not complete that final lap, so he officially comes home 1 lap to the negative in 9th. And then rounding out your top 10 was the 2 of Corey Connor.
Yeah, just behind him, Big Joe Hassard. He was fighting for that top 10 spot. Couldn't quite take it. George Anzaldo, he was in the top 10. Couldn't quite hold those guys off. He'll come 12th. Patrick Taylor making his debut. Came all the way from 28th. Manages a 13th place finish. Good run for him. And the other newcomer, Ed Tutwiler, 14th place. Vincent Blumenthal, 15th. Brandon Lincoln, 16th. Jesse Fowler, 17th tonight. Jack Bogan in a no chance onboard camera tonight. He finishes 18th. Tony Showen, 19th. Pierre Digel, the new admin to the LionHeart Racing Series, announced today, and he is 20th tonight.
And then from there on out, 21st to the 16 of Pete Edwins, Ron Hacker in 22nd, 23rd Dylan Lee, Jason Galvin, an unfortunate end for the driver of the number 12, comes home 24th, 11 laps back. Tony Lurcock, 25th, 26th to Mark Nobert, 27th Robert Blewett, 28th to Ian Adams, as well as the 7th Christopher in 29th. Both of those final 2 drivers had problems on the opening lap in this race and come home officially 24 laps down. So those are your official race results for round 16 of 18. The Don't Chance Racing Rocks 101 is behind us, and with that, the 2015 racing calendar behind us. Going to talk to some of the guys, though, that showed success tonight, and one of them was Ricky Harden, who had a very good race, started in 4th position, had a couple of close calls there early, and then had 2 really close calls in those opening laps as well. Just about ended up on the hook, Ricky, very early tonight, and I'm not sure if you closed your eyes or what, but you got out of him, you stayed on track, and you kept that number 05 machine out there, hustled for a P3 tonight. Talk us through it.
Oh my goodness, man. I don't know how I missed a couple of those incidents.
We don't either, so don't ask us.
I just, on lap 3 there, when Ryan spun, he backed across the track a little bit, and I think I came within an inch of his wing. I don't know, but man, it was crazy. Just caught the right brakes tonight, with him and then Garrett, and then with Peter Edwins near the end, he just stopped right in front of me. So I got lucky, man.
The numbers for you good at it tonight. You pick up your 2nd top 5 on the season, your 10th top 10 though. So you guys showing a lot of speed here and momentum late in this championship. When it comes to looking to a championship that's out of reach at this point, and it was actually topside Jake Wright with a 2nd tonight. He locked up the title fight. But for you guys, in a scenario where it's not impossible to think you can climb to 3rd in points, because you climbed to 4th. You passed 2 drivers tonight. Pierre Digel drops 2 spots. You go up 2, so you're going to be 4th in the championship outside of tonight's race. A strong finish for you, but I know that you would like to get to victory lane before the season is up. We're off until 2016, but I mean, a good run for you guys tonight. And I mean, at a road course, which is extremely difficult, especially at Road America, so many guys were having problems keeping the car underneath them. I know it's got to speak values to what you and the team have been doing.
Absolutely. I didn't get a lot of time to test. I got on here about an hour before the race and ran some laps, and I mean, there's just a lot of grip. The weather we run and this setup was very good, and because of that grip, you were very aggressive because you needed to get some good runs on the straightaways, and I think that people were just being a little bit too aggressive. They were using a little bit too much curb, and they were just trying to carry a little bit too much speed, and it was causing a lot of spins. So I love the road courses in this car. I wish we ran some more this season. That's my only 2 top 5s were Sonoma and here, and hopefully we can get that win at one of these ovals.
If you want to vouch for a second Road America date, I'll join you in that one. So, too much speed, too much curb. What was the deal with turn 8? I mean, almost everybody had a problem there just before the carousel. How were you able to navigate this one, as you said? Because a lot of guys were getting a little bit over-aggressive, which was interesting because Michelle DeYoung and Jake Wright in front of everybody, I mean, they were in front of everybody by a lot. And they were pushing their cars a lot. We said, you know, if you take it easy and you just keep the car underneath you, you're going to have a good night tonight. That seemed to be the model that you guys went off of.
Yeah, I think that corner is a little deceiving because the straightaway is not very long before it, and you think you're not carrying a ton of speed. But in addition to that, there's some bumps right in the middle of it, and you know, with this latest build, they added a little bit of flex in the vehicles, and I was picking up my left front a lot. It was up in the air, and it would just stop when I was on the brakes. So I think that really upset the balance a little bit in that corner, and it made it really easy to wreck.
You fight through it, you get a P3 tonight, and again, you mentioned second top 5 of the year on the road course. Well, you look forward and still trying to get that first checkered flag on Season 3. You've got 2 more opportunities to do so. Next one going to be at the Atlanta Motor Speedway on the 6th of January. That a place that unacceptable machine can be competitive at?
Sure. I mean, I think we can win anywhere. It's just we got to hit the strategy right, and I got to not make mental errors. I think I probably would have had 2 or 3 wins by now if I just didn't screw up pit strategy or speeding on pit road or hitting the wall in Indianapolis or whatever.
A good showing for you guys. A couple of people behind the scenes. I know you guys very busy all over the works of iRacing. Ricky, who makes it happen for you?
All those guys at Unacceptable Racing. Got to thank James Krahula for his guidance, and especially in these Indy cars. He at the last minute had to bow out tonight, so praying for him. I hope he can make it back soon. Tommy Ryan, Jesse Fowler, they helped out practicing for in the last hour here, and all the guys over at Unacceptable Racing. You can check us out on Facebook, Unacceptable Racing.
We do not have racing on the 23rd nor the 30th, so an off week for the Christmas holiday, the off week for New Year's. So enjoy that, sir. We'll see you in the new year.
Thank you, guys, and thanks to all the guys at LionHeart. Congratulations to Jake on his championship.
And a congratulations to Ricky Hart in 3rd place tonight at Road America, his second top 5 on the year. Both of those coming on the road courses. He likes it, and he got a good finish tonight. Going to pass things back down to you, Sean. You don't have the trophy yet, but you're down with our champion and 2nd place finisher tonight, Jake Wright.
Driver number 27 in the SurveySystems.com, DW12, No Name Racing's own Jake Wright on the podium once again this season. Great race, Jake, but not enough for Michelle DeYoung this evening, huh?
I might have had something for him, but turn 8 strikes again.
Man, that's the story of the night. We just got finished talking about it with Ricky. We saw a lot of trouble there in hurry downs this evening. What was the problem?
I honestly don't know. When I spun, at least, I just broke too late, and by the time I realized it, I was already around.
Well, you managed to gather it up and still come home 2nd place. You wrapped up the championship tonight. Congratulations. As I said at the end of the race, we don't have a crown for you tonight. We're going to wait a few weeks. We're going to let you just kind of simmer on that, and we'll get back to it. But congratulations again on bringing her home 2nd tonight. You really didn't even need that good a win, but I know you're a pretty proud guy, and you put in a lot of work here over the past couple weeks, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I'm happy with the 2nd, and I wish I still could have been up there to fight for the win. But Michelle is just fast, and I knew coming into this race that he'd be a problem. But it was a lot of fun racing with him as always, and can't wait for the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, I was in there with you guys for the practice race last night, and that was kind of the debate, was whether or not he was going to show up. And I said there at the end of the race, all the guy does is really just kind of show up and win races. but seems like to be a pretty good guy to race with. And, I'm sure we'll continue to see those battles erupt between you two as we continue on here through the end of the season and into next season. But I got to ask you a question real quick, Jake. You got to run. George had told me, George, the administrator of the league, George Gonzalo, had told me that you guys are going to run an MX5 series next season for a little bit of fun on a different night. And you get to mix it up with those guys in the MX5?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. A few weeks ago, they put up a session for us to come in and try it, and it was just a blast. So I'm really looking forward to it as a stress reliever.
And what's that going to be? Mostly short tracks?
From what I know, it's mostly short tracks. I'm not sure if we have a few road courses on the schedule though, but it's gonna be mostly short tracks or just anywhere that the MX-5s would be fun to race.
Right. Okay. Maybe we'll see the new Southern National Motorsports track there. That would be fun. That might be a nice combo for the MX-5. We'll have to wait and see. Look forward to seeing that. Might have to come in and view a couple of those races next season. Jake, again, congratulations on your championship. Congratulations on getting on the podium again this season. These last two races, what do you look to accomplish in the last two races?
Well, since we have the championship clinched up, I want to win. I want to win these races.
Want to get a few more trophies there on the shelf. Well, good on you, man. Hey, Jake, enjoy your holiday, sir. Merry Christmas to you and the family, and we will see you after the new year, sir.
Thanks, guys. See you at Atlanta.
All right, man, and that's exactly right. We'll head to Atlanta on January 6th, but first, Evan's got to catch up with our winner, Michelle DeYoung.
And we talk about speed and being quick. Well, it was a two-horse race until Jake Wright couldn't keep the back end of the car underneath him, and at that point, it was the Michelle DeYoung show. For the second time this year, a win on the road course, but now tied for the most wins all season with the third on the year winner today at Road America. Michelle, congratulations to you. You started from pole, so there was no surprise that 101 had speed. We could imagine that this is one of the tracks that you circled coming into this season, and especially seeing how good you were on the Indy Road side of things, looking to get this one done. You got the job done. You walk away with a victory. You and Jake, though, were so much quicker than everybody else. It was almost not fair. Where were you guys picking up the speed that other guys weren't that made you guys the fastest, and what did you do to make yourself the winner?
Well, first I have to congratulate Jake on his championship. It's well deserved across the whole season. And I'm not really sure, to be honest. I knew he was going to be fast, looking at some practice results earlier in the week, and I just knew that if I stayed ahead and didn't make a mistake, I could probably beat him. And unfortunately for him, he made a slight mistake. I think we could have had a battle near the end of the race, but I'm just happy to win this one. It's one of my all-time favorite tracks. It's just so amazing every corner.
Especially with the impromptu off week here, there was a lot of hype coming into this race, and we were very excited to look forward and get to this one. But you mentioned having speed. Sometimes when you're fast, but keeping the car underneath you was the key. We saw so many drivers have problems tonight. Turn 8 was a big thing. That even caught Jake, which is where most of the drivers were having problems there. But you really didn't look like you were taking it easy on the car. You were overshooting a couple of curbs, kicking up dust and dirt into the guys' faces behind you there. So is still running that aggressive being conservative for you? How much were you holding back? Because, again, you two were very quick, and you were keeping each other honest. The gap, I think, was 1.2 seconds or so before Jake had his problem and dropped way off. But, you guys, for taking it easy, you were hustling.
Oh, I wasn't taking it easy at all at the start. I was trying to get a gap on Jake, but he just kept coming back. And after he spun, I dialed it back a little bit, but still not too much, because it's really a track you need to keep your focus on every corner. If you lose focus just a little bit, then for example, turn 8, they will bite you.
We talked about this race not being that long by the numbers at just 25 laps in just about 50 minutes, but at 14 turns a lap, we were talking about how that's 350 opportunities to make a mistake. You, sir, did not, and you're now tied for the most wins on the season with 3 with Dan Roper. He piled up Milwaukee, Sonoma, and Richmond early, and now you have both of those wins at Indianapolis, and now here to get to 3 on the season. With that being said, you're tied for the most. I'm sure you'd like to have the most, and you've got a win on the ovals already at Indianapolis. A little bit of a different song and dance, though, for round 17, where you look for your 4th at Atlanta. You excited going into that one? Because that's a very fast intermediate oval.
To be honest, I don't think I've ever driven on it, so I'm really not sure. I don't have much experience on the ovals. It's pretty big learning curve, and some of the guys here are so fast. I mean, this is a fixed league, but sometimes I see the times they put on in qualifying on the ovals, and I have no idea how they do it. So it's going to be really, really hard.
It's a point that we made earlier in this one, talking about how your success at the road courses, but to win the Indy 500, the most grueling oval race on the season.
I'm still hurting from that one.
I think you're going to be up for the task nonetheless. Atlanta brings its own challenges. We're looking forward to seeing that one. Obviously, every time we go to one of those 1.5-mile ovals, there's always a couple of things that we don't know because all of those tracks are unique in their own ways. Michelle, though, going into the little bit of an off break here, anybody behind the scenes you want to thank for getting you here to this 3rd win?
I just want to thank Crossmaster for sponsoring my team, Mad Cape Racing Team. Look them up. We're recruiting.
If you're going to be teammates with somebody that's got 3 wins in the LionHeart IndyCar Series, that's a pretty good deal, Michelle. Thanks for sticking around again. Congratulations to you, not only for this win, but for the 3rd one on the season. Enjoy the holidays. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and hopefully we'll see you in 2016 running back up front. We'll see you then.
Thanks. Same to you guys.
So that is your race winner tonight. Michel DeYoung wins at Road America. He walks away, Sean, with the virtual hardware in the No Chance Racing Rocks 101. Fun race. I mean, you gotta love Road America. Maybe second best doing this tonight, Sean, than being out there with them. Although we probably would have got smoked. It is just that fun of a track. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. And as Michelle said, that's the kind of competitor he is, with Jake having that problem. Kind of bummed. That 27 wasn't there, but it was still a fun race start to finish.
Man, it sure was. I had a blast this evening calling that and witnessing that race. Always so much fun at Road America. And it really, I don't think it really matters what kind of car you have on the track, but man, this DW12 presents a really, really unique brand of racing at this track. I talked about that setup being fast. I'll go back to that time he laid down a 143 in qualifying. Man, that's just wicked fast in just over 4 miles. Think about that. Do the math in your head. That's blazing fast, and this DW12 really eats up Road America. I can't wait till the next race here, but unfortunately, we're going to have to wait till next season. Can't wait to see the actual Indy cars, IndyCar Series get on that track. That is going to be so much fun. Several of the guys in the LionHeart Racing Series will be making that trip. Dan Guerin, I believe, George Anzaldo, Big Joe Hassard, a bunch of those guys going to be making that trip together. Heck, I might even have to make a run up to Wisconsin and go hang out with those dudes. So, what a great race tonight. And so much to look forward to with the new season coming up, like I talked about in the pre-race. Registration is open. The door is wide open for new drivers to come on in and check it out. Go to LionHeartRacingSeries.com. Get all the information there. This is a great league. It's stronger than ever, and going to be stronger for 2016.
And Sean, if you want to join us, I think that you got me and Ricky on the petition to get some more road course races on here. Maybe 2 Road Americas, who knows? But, it's a great championship, 18 races. I'm an oval person, so the road stuff is still kind of new. But it's so fun to watch it. It's very fun to race in as well because it's a completely different beast. And I think these guys... we talk about the requirements to get into the series. These are guys with an A-class license, no lower than an 1800 I rating. These guys know what they're doing. You talked about, we talked with Michelle even. He said that, what these guys can do on the ovals just blow his mind. So for the amount of problems that they had tonight, which some person might look at that and say, well, everybody was spinning, so that's not a good race. It shows just how difficult the track is. You can go around here and not make any mistakes. but that means you're doesn't pushing the car. I mean, these guys were absolutely up on the wheel tonight, and still with 2 races to go, Atlanta and Auto Club on the season, the excitement is not going to simmer down at all. However, we do have to wait until January to get back on track. So the 2015 portion of this Season 3 championship has gone to the books. Do want to thank some of the people on our end of things to make all of this possible. A huge thanks to iRacing.com, Motorsport Simulations LLC, everything they do. New build out as of last week, and I think everything getting touched up as of today. Always fun. If you're not on the service, the Nürburgring's out. You got to go check that out, and I'm due for that as well. A big thanks to XSplit, the Audio-Technica Corporation, AverMedia USA for what they do in providing us the equipment we need to do the streams here. A big thanks to the LionHeart administration team, the scheduling, everything that they do, hosting the practice sessions, and getting this series up and going. George Ansaldo, Jesse Vincent, and as we mentioned, Pierre Deigel, new, announced today welcoming him to the LionHeart administration team. Do want to thank him and all those other names for what they do for this series. Additional thanks want to go out to the music provided by Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, and as well to Dougie Beard for providing us with all of the unique camera angles you saw on track tonight. You can stay up to date with the Global Sim Racing channel on our website at www.globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on social media. You can tweet at us at GSR Channel. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. Gonna take a look at some of the upcoming races on the screen, although I know for the most part things starting to settle down until the new year, because Christmas and New Year's just now about a week away for the holiday, Sean. But when we come back in 2016, we're going to be in hot Atlanta.
Yes, we are, for the Dead Zone Racing 150, January 6th, 2016. It's not that far away, ladies and gentlemen. It's right upon us. Atlanta Motor Speedway for 100 laps. Pre-race show begins at just about 10:35 Eastern Standard Time. We go green at 10:45. Going to be quite a race. Going to take a little break, though, and enjoy the holiday. And I wish all of you a very, very happy holiday and a happy new year. We will definitely see you on January 6th. Evan, Merry Christmas, buddy.
It's been a fun 2015. Kind of sad to see it go, but with 2016 kicking off, we get a new year, we get a new season coming up not all that far after the championship here that wraps up, so there's no shortage of sim racing action. We're always happy to bring it to you here on the Global Sim Racing channel, and tonight on iRacing Live as well. We hope everybody enjoyed the show. Until next time and until next year, on behalf of everybody at the Global Sim Racing channel and for the broadcast team tonight, for myself, Evan Pasoko, for Sean Ambrose, Amjad Yaman, and everybody else at GSRC, congratulations to Michelle DeYoung, your winner at Road America. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everybody. Have a safe holiday season, and we'll see you in 2016. Good night.